Okay. Now there's a reason why I got this book in the center here. These are psychology books, these are law books. This is a hybrid of both. This is psychology and law together. This is the only psychology book in the world where you will find the word insanity written on its pages. All of the regular psychology books, insanity is nowhere. Now this is what happens when someone is on trial. The prosecutor is required by law to prove them guilty beyond all reasonable doubt. When someone pleads insanity, they are required to prove themselves insane beyond all reasonable doubt. And this is what most likely happens. There are different states, different criteria, blah, 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 but in general it's the same practice. The psychiatrist, there's usually a psychiatrist for the defense, psychiatrist for the prosecution, and the judge may even call on a third psychologist to stand neutral. It could be one psychiatrist or 5 psychiatrists. The psychiatrists individually sit down with the person, make their own notes, make their own assessment. And the psychiatrist will tell the judge he's faking it, he's full of shit, or he is insane. He did not know right from wrong. He didn't know. He honestly didn't know what the fuck he was doing was wrong. Now, if the guy's charged with shoplifting, it's not that big of a deal. They give him some medication, send him on his way. If the guy's charged with mass murder, then we got a problem. Here's the issue now. Some psychiatrist somewhere, I don't know the guy's name and I don't want to bash him, because he's a psychiatrist, I'm not. The psychiatrist interviewed Loughner. And that psychiatrist deemed Loughner to be, quote, insane. He did not know what he was doing was wrong. Here's what happens to Loughner now. Loughner did not go to trial. He didn't. He was charged, but because he was deemed incompetent, he did not go to trial. So double jeopardy, being tried for the same crime, doesn't apply to him yet because he wasn't tried yet for a crime. The trial stopped before the trial began. It was still in the phases of preliminary hearings and motions and shit like that. The trial did not start yet. Most people agree that trial starts when the jury is sworn in. When the jury is sworn in, then we have trial. Before that, there's no trial. And there were a couple of times where, before the trial actually began, the prosecutor said, you know what, Your Honor, I need more time. Okay, you can have more time and come back later. And then there were other times when the jury was sworn in, and the prosecutor said, Your Honor, I need more time. The judge said, jury's sworn in. No more time. You either go now or the case is dismissed forever. Loughner did not go to trial. Loughner did not see a jury. Therefore, double jeopardy does not apply to him. Therefore, this is what will happen. Loughner is deemed insane. Therefore, because he's a mass murderer, he has to go to a mental institution. He can't get outside counseling. He has to be incarcerated in a mental institution. Now, most people in mental institutions are there voluntarily. Yeah. A patient will be sick in the head and they will go and voluntarily submit themselves for treatment. And they can go out in the garden. They can even leave whenever they want. As long as they're not going to kill anybody, they can leave whenever the hell they want. Because they're not in prisons, they're patients. And then there are guys that are deemed dangerous. Guys that attempt suicide, guys that attack staff, guys that attack patients. Those guys are deemed a threat. They're there. They're not getting out. The psychiatrist ain't going to release them if they're deemed a threat. Now, people that are extremely dangerous, like Loughner, are put in what they call isolation. That means they are put in a maximum security cell in the mental hospital. And there are security guards that are there to guard them. And if they have to leave their cell, they're being escorted under guard. Normal mental patients that have normal privileges will walk around as casually as they would at a retirement home. They'll just get up and walk down the hallway and get a cup of orange juice. They'll walk out into the yard and smoke a cigarette because they're not dangerous. But if they're dangerous, and not all mental patients are dangerous, maybe 1% of them are, the guys that are dangerous, they need to be on lockdown. Now, Loughner, there's no statute of limitations on murder. Doesn't matter if you committed murder yesterday or 80 years ago. If you're still alive, your ass is going on trial. Loughner is deemed insane. Therefore, he is isolated in a mental hospital, maximum security, until one of two things happens. Number one, he dies, or number two, he is cured. And if a psychiatrist cures him of his insanity, the psychiatrist will document Mr. Loughner is now sane. He can now stand trial. Loughner will face justice. He will go to trial. One way or another, he's not getting out. He's either going to stay in the psychiatric hospital forever, or he's going to be cured and go on trial and do life without parole, or death maybe. Well, we got time. One way or another, Loughner ain't going nowhere anytime soon. He's there and that's it. So, personally, we're all angry. He should face justice. That motherfucker, Paul Helmke, called Wayne LaPierre, president of the NRA, a mass murderer. These Looney Tune asshole gun opponents call every single American with a magazine higher than 10 rounds an accessory to Loughner. And some gun opponents think that we're no different than he is. Well, fuck them. So it's not fair that we have to stand trial and he gets to get off scot-free. Put it this way. Personal feelings aside, Loughner's away. He's either going to spend the rest of his life in a mental institution, or he's going to be found not guilty, found sane, put on trial, found guilty, and go to prison. One way or another, he's away from society. And tell you the gospel truth, some psychiatric hospitals, being on lockdown is so nuts you might as well be in prison. So, as mad as we are, let's accept the fact that Loughner is not a threat. He didn't stand trial publicly like we wanted to for personal reasons. We wanted him to stand trial and be punished. We wanted vengeance. But we need to take what we can get. The psychiatrist deemed him insane. I'm not a psychiatrist. I'm not a criminologist. I'm not a judge. I'm not a prosecutor. So I don't have a right to judge him. And I've seen guys that are nuttier than he is go on trial, but maybe the psychiatrist saw something that made him think, hey, this guy's insane. Okay? But let's just thank God that he's no longer a threat to society. It's one less fucking asshole. And he had to have a little bit of knowledge and understanding. He had to go and buy the gun. Unfortunately, he bought the gun legally. He had to buy the gun legally. He had to fill out paperwork. He had to go there, put the magazine in, rack the slide. He had to have some level of competence. But for better or worse, he's deemed insane. I don't like it. I don't agree with it any more than you do. But let's accept the fact he's gone. We're still here. Maybe in the long run, he'll have such a miserable time in the psychiatric ward, he'll wish he was in prison. Okay? So that's the difference between insanity and crazy. Insanity means you didn't understand what you were doing was wrong. And tell you the gospel truth, I got the impression he was nutty as a shit. I got the impression he didn't know what was going on. I got that impression. I'm not a psychiatrist, but I got that impression. I said, this guy's out of his fucking mind. Let's not focus on him anymore. Let's focus on the people that he hurt and the people that he killed. He killed a 9-year-old girl that was born on September 11th. What did she do to deserve to get killed? So, we should remember the victims. We should think about their families, not him. Oh, thank you.